sausages.
Round 1 at Sonoma last week gave us plenty of action, and Jake Robertson is on top of the world at the moment, sitting in first in the standings. Welcome along to round 2 of the iRacing World Championship Series qualifiers here at Atlanta Motor Speedway. We're using the long configuration here today, and it's going to give us some great action, I am sure. My name's Dane Baird, and I'm joined today by Austin Knight, and in production we've got Mark Tranter providing the cameras and the beautiful SDK gaming overlay that you can see on your screens. So Austin, welcome to the commentary booth for round number 2. You're going to be joining us for the next 11 or 12 rounds, and I'm looking forward to joining you for the rest of it.
Yeah, it's going to be a great next 12 weeks with us in the booth for this wonderful 13-week season here at in the iRacing World Rallycross Qualifying Championship. And it's, after sadly missing the opening round because I had a doctor's appointment, it's going to be a extremely nice race to watch, because I watched last weekend and ooh, that was tasty.
Yes, it was. We've got 4 races coming up. Qualifying is just underway. We'll see the driver setting a couple of lap times shortly. But to guide us through a lap now, we're going to get the Apex Racing Academy lap guide for Atlanta Long in just a few moments. Okay, then a lap of Atlanta Long, past the start finish line and then hard on the brakes into turn number 1. A tricky right-left chicane straight into a hairpin. Don't hit the blue curbs, they'll send you flying. Over the curb here, the Joker's on the right, but we're going to head left in towards the famous dog slide. This is a double apex, dirt banked right-hand hairpin. Absolutely amazing corner to drive. Still on the dirt into this long left-hander. Never ends as we head back onto the main straight, or the back straight, on towards the tarmac into the last corner. It's a tricky double apex hairpin once more, but this time it's got gravel halfway through that will send you flying off into the tyre barriers on the left-hand side if you take too much speed into it. Up and over the jump. And we head back onto the tarmac, over the crest, and back onto the start finish line to start another lap. That was the lap guide for Atlanta Long, provided by Apex Racing Academy, and we are 3 minutes into qualifying, a 5-minute qualifying session. They're getting 3 laps in the beautiful Atlanta Motor Speedway infield. This is usually a road course, but they've laid down some lovely dirt and a great old jump at the end of that for us, so we can go rallycross racing here. And it's one of all of the drivers' favorite circuits. It's definitely one of the best circuits on the service, and we really always look forward to this round of the championship, mainly for this, the donk slide. Beautiful banked hairpin. It is one of the most enjoyable corners in all of iRacing Rallycross, and most of iRacing period actually. It's really great corner on the service. And just over a minute left of qualifying, just a few more drivers setting their final lap times to become riding on board with Olakainen. The Finn going over the jump, you get some big air over this one. It's important to tap the brakes as they come over the crest, just to try and get the front of the car pointed down, otherwise you can get some engine damage from hitting the ground a bit too hard. That's going to be something to watch out for. We've got some of the drivers just finishing their lap times. Here's Connor Parisi for Jim Beaver Esports. Austin, with just a few moments left of qualifying, we'll get ready for the heats, and I think heats are going to be really important here because Atlanta, it's not too easy to overtake at.
Yeah, from what I've been seeing so far this week, the Joker lap is going to be the most important part of this circuit, because there are not a lot of overtaking opportunities here at Atlanta, so the Joker is going to be the most important part. But the most important part outside the Joker lap, I would have to say donk slide.
Absolutely, because that's going to give you a good or bad run down the incredibly long back straight in towards probably the best overtaking opportunity of them all, into the final corner. That's probably the hardest braking zone of the circuit, except maybe turn 1, but that's way too tight to try and go too wide through there. It takes some serious guts to make a move like that. Qualifying is over then. We'll get the results of that up on the screen in just a moment. Here they are then. This is the grid for heat number 1. So this is all of your odds drivers. So on pole position is Ilari Lamansivu in the number 6 car, the Finn, setting a 44.2. We've got Joni Olakainen in second for Set Esports. Vincente Salas in third. Adria Perez in 4th. Then we got Rasmus Tuominen in 5th, Tommi Mäkinen in 6th, and Toni Latinmäki in 7th position. 7-car heat number 1. We're going to have a 6-car heat 2. We've got 13 drivers this week. That's going to vary between, I'd say, 11 and 14 as we get a different number of drivers signed up for this race. It is an official series, of course, so we don't get to control how many drivers there are. That's up to iRacing. They've said the maximum is 15, or 14 even, and that's what we have to deal with. So the drivers just getting gridded up, and we'll soon be ready to race. Just a couple of drivers left to grid up.
5 Finns on the grid for Heat 1 with Vincent Salas and Adria Perez, the Spaniard and the American, representing their country alone. So do you expect the Finns and Beetle squad, except for Ari, to gang up on the rest of them?
Absolutely, the Finns do love their iCross, and it shows in the standings. Pretty much all of the drivers in the top 25 are from Finland, and I think we've got just 1 car left to grid up and we'll be ready to race. In case you're not sure where we are, there's a track map on the right hand side. This is the run down in towards the final corner. So the first corner is actually the last corner for these heats and the Consolation, and also the feature at the end. But for 5 laps of racing, we're ready to race. The lights are on, the revs are rising. And we go green at Atlanta for the first time. It's like a good start for Lemon Sivu Olakainen. Not quite there.
Oh, no!
Between them, he's going to get sent onto the grass. That's not where you want to be. Looks like Tuominen's managed to take massive advantage of that, taking his Beetle into first to come over the jump for the first time. Contact over the jump. There's Adria Perez rolling over. Lemon Sivu's caught up in that one as well. Looks like Mäkinen as well.
Mäkinen was the one that went
rolling.
Yeah, Mäkinen landed on his roof right against the barrier, and he had a massive bit of contact. He definitely has some damage that he's dealing with. Perez might also be damaged from that as well as we head into Dog Slide after, for the first time.
It looks like Tuomin is just joking, and Mäkinen has had to retire from the race after landing, like you said, on his roof. Here's Lemon Sivu going for a move down the inside. He thought about it into the final corner, but that's not going to happen. Top 4 qualify for the feature from this race, so Mäkinen straight into the Consolation, as it looks like is Adria Perez. He's all the way down in 6th, a good few seconds behind Olakainen in 5th. Lemon Sivu currently sitting in that 4th position, but remember, these guys might get the jump on Tuominen depending on how the Joker Delta is. We think it's going to be about 8 seconds as here we go.
Salas just took the Joker as well.
So top 4 have jokered now. That is going to be the top 4 from the end of the race. Looks like Perez is going to miss out on this one. Maybe Olakainen as well. We'll have to see how the jokers play out. I think Olakainen is going to have to gain at least 2 seconds in 3 laps if he wants to make that joker work in his favor. But we're going to see the joker icons on the timing tower light up as they cross the start-finish line to start lap number 3. Massive controversy at the start of the race with contact between the leaders. We still got them battling here. Lemon Sivu goes for a move in towards the dunk side, and he manages to make that one stick. A bit of a dive bomb, but he's run wide now. Are they going to go side by side to the exit? Yes, they are. But Lemon Sivu gets the advantage coming down the banking, and he's going to make that one stick. That was an absolutely amazing move by him.
That was picture perfect, beautiful, wonderful send up onto the inside, and then he held it around the outside and just pretty much closed any door from Tony's attention. Here's a replay of the start. 4 wide going through turns 1. You get to see him just riding on each other of them, and just nowhere for Tommi Mäkinen as he goes flipping all over the place, as well as Perez, who got into each other, and getting airborne and having contact midair never ends out well. You get to see the damage on Perez's car.
Yeah, that is definitely not what they would want. Just to give a quick explanation of something that you might be seeing on the dunk slide is that this is dirt put on top of tarmac. So after a while, it will wear down quite a bit, and in the end, it almost becomes a sort of less grippy, bumpier tarmac near the end of the race in the feature. And what we normally see in this is the Beetles do quite well in the feature if they get there, which it seems like they're going to do, as Tuominen in first position. Rasmus for Set Esports are going to start the final lap of heat number 1, and it looks like the top 4 are going to stay as they are. In fact, Olakainen might overtake Latin Maki for 4th position. So we have to watch out for that one as they come into the final lap. That's going to happen more or less now. So we'll see Olakainen take to the Joker on the track.
Close.
Here he is as he comes out of the Joker. It's a really dangerous Joker exit. And he makes it up into 3rd. Up the inside of Lemon Siva. That was so close as he came out the Joker, and he's up into 3rd. Which means that Adria Perez and Latin Maki are going to lose out as well.
Olakainen threaded the needle with no room to spare to just snipe that 3rd spot away on the final lap of heat number 1. What a move and strategy call.
Yeah, we were talking about it just before we went on air. The Joker Delta is so large that sometimes you see the battle for the top 4 and you're like, well, that looks like that's going to be it. And then out of nowhere, Olakainen, I thought he was maybe just going to take 4th from Latin Maki, but he's already dropped down to 6th. So here are the results for heat number 1 as we grid up for heat 2. Rasmus Tuominen wins that by just over a second to Vicente Salas, the American driver, in 2nd. Joni Olakainen with that awesome last lap Joker takes 3rd, and Lamin Sivu takes 4th. Those 4 drivers will head to the feature, but Adria Perez, Tony Lahinmati, oh, that was awful, and Tommy Mäkinen, as I trip over my words, they'll head to the Consolation, and they'll be joined by 2 drivers from heat number 2, which we'll get the grid up for now. Cedric in the number 12 car, the Frenchman, he will take pole position for this one. Garrett Maines will take 2nd. Connor Parisi for Jim Beaver Esports will take 3rd. Yoni Zaijon in 4th. Then we've got Jake Robertson for Apex Racing Team in 5th. Bo Albert in 6th. And I think we are ready to race here at Atlanta already.
And we are going green for heat number 2.
Good start by Garrett Maines. It looks like Cedric's going to go to the start. Connor Parisi 3 wide with Zajon and Albert as well. And it's like, I can't see who's in first. Who is that? That's Jake Robertson.
It's Robertson. It's Robertson and Connor Parisi going
3 wide.
Yeah, they're side by side bang wheels, and Robertson gets turned around from the back, but he keeps it going straight. And oh my goodness!
Front flipping. That looks like Bo Albert. Not sure what happened to him. He hit those turbo curves way too hard. Jake Robertson Jokers, there's too much to call here.
Well, Robertson took the lead with Maines right behind. Connor Parisi just stopped on a dime. I think he hit a wall or a visible wall or something, because this car is just not moving at all now. And I think he's slightly confused. Let's take a replay on what we just witnessed. That's Albert in 3rd place. He gets into the back of Robinson right here. A little bit of netcode. And I think he just gets punted on, oh my, front flip.
Yeah, it looks like Cedric's had to slow down as well. You can see in the background of that shot, he cut the 2nd apex after getting pushed wide by Robertson, who got punted by Albert. That was netcode though. Albert is, of course, Australian, so that's probably going to play some part in that. Cedric slows down to service, slow down. There's more contact between him, and I'm not sure who that was. Cedric.
That was Maines.
Moves it up through the dock.
Maines got into Connor right there. But out front, it is Robertson and Garrett Maines leading out the field for heat number 2. And with that Joker on the early lap, they just have a clean track ahead of them. It's a very widespread field compared to heat number 1. Maines closing in on Robertson, just eating up all that dirt, going out a little bit wide. That makes it off the donk slide. It's so crucial, and you got to avoid those massive sausage curves on the apex of the final corner before you hit the jump. It's all about the run-up. Now, you don't have to win this race to get into the final, but always going for that top spot is what all drivers want. We head into the donk slide once more. Maines getting so close, almost tasting the wheel of Robertson right there. The 2 Beetles leading out the field, and Cedric Perez, Albert, and Zajon have not done the Joker lap yet.
Yeah, that's going to be really interesting to see. We saw that in heat number 1, that it really is a massive delta, and these 2 have to be really careful. They don't want to be fighting too hard, Maines and Robertson, because they're not going to get too much of an advantage from coming 1st or 2nd, but they will lose out a lot of time by battling especially the tight, tricky course like Atlanta Long.
Yeah, Maines just ate a big giant curb right there, went onto 2 wheels, and he is almost bump drafting. You see the damage that he has on his front end. He just set the fastest lap of the race. They're going to go side by side into dog slide and almost getting turned around. Robertson swings around the outside and keeping his place on first place. But hello, here comes Cedric and Perez right behind him.
As we head onto the white flag, it's the final corner. Maines is under pressure from Cedric, but it looks like Cedric's going to have to hold behind. Like I said, top 4 get to the feature. I don't think these guys are going to have to fight too hard. Robertson almost messes up that final corner. Maines is going to take him, or is he? No, he has to file behind, and that's going to be Robertson into Maines, and then Cedric with the top 3. Connor Parisi is going to take 4th position, but for Bo Albert and Zajon, they're going to have to go to the Consolation.
That was almost a massive incident with Cedric at the top. Almost pretty much tackled him right there. But the result for heat number 2, Jake Robertson takes the win, followed by Garrett Maines. Suman Cedric in 3rd, followed by Connor Perez, Bo Albert, and Gregory Zajon at the end of the grid. And now we're on our consultation race.
Yeah, so this is the last chance qualifier for the feature. We've got 8 drivers set there, but 5 drivers have been eliminated. 2 of them are going to have a final chance at getting into the feature. The top 2 from this race will qualify. We're ready to race, and we are green at Atlanta for the 3rd time. Perez looks like he's got a good start. Albert making a move down around the outside. Is he going to be able to make that one stick? I don't think he will. If there's more carnage, Albert's turned around by that's Mackie, and Albert with more bad luck. He has horrible luck in Sonoma, and he's being turned here again in the Consolations. Zajon defending hard for 3rd position. They don't need to be attacking each other here. They need to be working with each other to try and get into that top 2, because right now Perez and Mackinnon have got it all sorted. Zajon gets a little bit of a punt, and looks like he's going to go for the donk slide, and Mackie's going to take 2nd as to the Joker, as so does Adria. Perez takes the Joker, so he's going to get some clear air now, and he's going to have to push like hell to get into the feature now.
Yeah, that was smart from Latimaki to take the Joker on lap 1, because Zajon was defending hard going down the straight on lap 1, and you really want clean air around here to just try to push away, because Zajon and Mikinen are in a ding-dong battle for 3rd right now.
Absolutely, that's not what they want. Albert's going to be looking at this with a little bit of gleam in his eyes. He looks ahead, 4 seconds ahead is the nearest driver, which is Zajon, and they have, that's not even including the Joker Delta, so he can't even make that up with a Joker, so that's really unfortunate for Albert. He's got a lot of pace, but just had really bad luck at the start. He went all the way around the outside. I thought he was going to make it stick for a second, and then he just got turned, but we're going to have to look at the Joker Deltas now, because like I said before, 8 seconds we're looking at, and I think that with current affairs, I think Latimaki is going to lose out on that feature spot as we get to the end of the race. We are starting lap number 3 of 6 for the Consolation.
Well, going back to that start, it actually looked like Albert was trying to do a round the outside move, and then mid-corner he decided that he wanted to try and go for a switchback, but with the amount of cars that were just packed into that narrow turn 1, it had no chance of actually work. And we can take a look at this. Albert, the car on the way outside, as we saw outside getting usually packed in, and then he just cut across the entire track and across everybody else, and he got turned around by then. If he just stayed around the outside, he would probably be up in 1st at this point.
Yeah, he tried to switch back, and all credit to him, that almost worked out, but he just misjudged the gap between himself and Craig Zajon, who actually eventually turned him. But very unfortunate for him. Here's Tommy Mackinnon, and he was doing pretty well in qualifying, but then obviously he ended up on his roof before the first lap of the heat race even started. That's not what he would have wanted, so he's down in the Consolation race, currently sitting in 3rd, but that's not to worry, because he does have about a 2-second lead over Latimaki in 2nd once he takes his Joker. What he's got to watch out for is Zajon just behind him, because they are definitely fighting for track position.
Yeah, Zajon waiting for that last lap as well, and I don't believe these guys are going to go on this lap. It will be a shot in the dark if Zajon attempts this, but I think he'll be shooting himself in the foot if he tries to take it this lap. I'm not going to be surprised if Mikinen attempts it right now.
If I was Jajon, I would have taken it now, actually, because there is a chance that Mäkinen comes out into the path of Latinmaki. Although, having said that, I don't think Latinmaki has the pace right now. He's dropped back quite a bit of time. There's only about 4 seconds between them, so there's a good 4-second gap. Latinmaki's going to end up in 4th as Adria Perez takes the white flag.
Yeah, last lap to go. Latinmaki slow. This is now the battle for the last spot in the final between Mikinen and Zajon. Unless Latinmaki pulls something out of the hat or something happens between these two drivers as they head through the S's and heading into the Joker lap. Mikinen and Zajon jump into 2nd and 3rd. And down onto the backstretch they go. 1 corner to go. Mikinen barrel rolling in heat number 1 in Consultation.
Latinmaki looked like he's just gone straight into the wall out of the donks fight there. I just saw in the background, but Adria Perez wins the Consolation. Mäkinen will take the 2nd transfer spot, and to Jajon, Latinmaki and Bo Albert, we will say goodbye to them. For Albert once again, those 3 drivers are not going to make it. Oh, a big hit for Albert. Massive hit there, but yeah, here are the results on the screen, the official results. Adria Perez and Tommy Mäkinen will head to the back of the feature grid, which will have 10 cars. It will be the biggest grid that we see all event. It's going to be 10 laps of Rallycross racing, and it's going to be absolutely incredible to watch, I'm sure. Here is the grid then. Rasmus Tuominen starting on pole position after winning his heat. Jake Robertson won heat 2. He'll start in 2nd. Vincente Salas will start in 3rd alongside Garrett Maines and Joni Olakainen. Then we've got Cedric and Leminsavu in row 3. Connor Parisi, Adria Perez and Tommy Mäkinen will be 3 wide at the back of the grid as the drivers are just about to be ready to race. And I'm really excited for this one. This is going to be a good race. I can feel it as it looks like all of the drivers have gridded up. The lights are on. The revs are rising. We're ready to race. And we go green at Atlanta for the final time. And Salas hasn't had a good start. Tuominen and Robertson side by side in towards turn number 1. Maines is funded into Cedric. And that was, who was that? Salas as well.
That was Maines.
Back of the field.
Maines and Cedric pancaked each other.
Almost 3 wide over the jumper. It looks like, for the most part, everyone's got through in one piece. Tuominen leading from Robertson, and then Leminsavu and Olakainen. Let's see who jokers on lap 1.
Well, it's a massive grid, and it's pretty much everybody jokering on lap 1. The people who didn't take it is going to be Leminsavu, Perez, Mikinen, Cedric, and Salas, who didn't take. So half the field, well, almost half the field, took the Joker on lap 1 just to get away from that massive group, but pretty much everyone is still nose to tail for each other, and this is going to be a very exciting 10 laps we have.
Absolutely. Robertson, if I was him, I would have not taken the Joker, but I think Tuominen threw him the dummy really well there. I thought Tuominen was going to go around the long way, but I think Robertson did too, as he cuts that curb massively. Here's Connor Parisi. He was involved in that lap 1, well, turn 1 shunt. As we head on to lap number 2, who's going to take the Joker? Mäkinen takes the Joker. He's up into 4th position, as does Garrett Maines up into 5th, although Salas has just re-overtaken him. Salas took the Joker, sorry. Maines took it on the 1st lap. Mäkinen up into 4th position, and it looks like everyone in the top 6 has now Joker.
Yeah, that just leaves Leminsavu, Perez, Paris, and Cedric. And Cedric, I think, is just wishing he was just given a bone at this time, because the start of this Atlanta race, it's just so crucial to get, and every single race that we had, except for the Consolation race, was almost every race that we had today has just been dogpiling into lap 1, turn 1, and I was just waiting to see if just somebody just took turn 1 very slowly and just waited for it.
That's what you tend to see, but when the stakes are high, as they are here, there's Olakainen's all over that grass. As they head onto the jump, you can see the amount of airtime. He was airborne for at least a second there, but they just went side by side through the donk side, actually, did Olakainen and Robertson, so that was risky move by Olekainen. He stuck it down the inside there. That's not really what you want to be seeing as the driver ahead. It's a Code Brown moment for sure. Here they are then. This is a great view of the donk side, and I think, oh, Robertson hits the inside wall. Olekainen goes through, and Robertson's going to have some damage from that. I think Tuominen did exactly the same thing as
He's
well.
hit another wall. He's definitely got suspension damage right now because he just took a chunk of the wall on the apex of the donk side. Then on the exit of it, he took the opposite wall as well. So after hitting the wall twice, he might be struggling with some damage. Let's take a replay of that.
Yeah, so he comes around the hairpin, and I'm not too sure what happened. He took a very similar line to the line he's always taken, and he comes up to the donk side, gets hard on the wall there, and then just hits it, just misjudges it, and Olekainen says, thank you very much, I'll take second. But I definitely heard Rasmus Tuominen hit a bit of the wall on the entry of the donk side as well. Here is Robertson. He's now under pressure from Salas as they go side by side, and he's lost out of position to Mäkinen as well. He's definitely struggling here.
Yeah, Salas is on the charge, and Robertson still going to continue on, stricken, but not giving up. But somebody that we haven't been covering is Lemetsvu, 8 seconds behind the leader, hasn't taken the Joker lap, and he is constantly setting fastest lap after fastest lap and closing in on this leading pack.
Yeah, well, he was a pole position man. There's a new personal best on that lap as well. We know he's quick. He won the race last time out at Sonoma. Pole position. He actually got a clean sweep, and he takes for the Joker on lap number 6. Let's see where he goes. He overtakes everyone up until first position, but he's going to have a
and
good
here's the leader.
Hits the wall, almost over-rotates out of the Joker exit, and he's now right on the back of Tuominen, and we're going to have a battle for the lead for the last 3-4 laps of this race.
A wonderful block by Tuominen holding out that inside line. Lemetsvu had the run, but just nowhere to go because that back straight here in Atlanta, it's wide, but when you're in kart, it is so narrow. So a three-way fight for the lead. Tuominen, Lemetsvu, and Okanayan. Beetle, Subaru, Beetle through the donk side there, and a little tap to the wall from Tuominen, and it's just so perfect. It doesn't really affect him that much, but he definitely hit that wall.
Oh, bit of contact for Lemetsvu, and he's onto the grass. That's not where you want to be. And it looks like Olekainen's got past him. I think there was a little bit of contact from Olekainen actually, because Lemetsvu had some contact there as he goes up the inside into the final part of turn number 1, or the final corner I should say, as they head over the jump. Massive air as we head to 3 laps to go. Lemetsvu, I think he's just being passed with a little bit of a hit and run by Olekainen because he was miles away from the wall, but I heard contact.
Yeah, there was some contact on the rear end. I don't know if that was netcode or anything, but Lemetsvu does have damage in that Subaru. And with 2 Beetles out front, it's going to be very hard for that Subi to get around them because this is a Beetle favorite track.
Definitely, and right now it's a set esports 1-2, and they've already got a couple drivers in the World Championship, I believe, from the last year's World Championship. Obviously the top 10 already keep their licenses. Lemetsvu sideways over the jump. Massive air. He did very well to keep hold of that. It's very difficult to do that when you go so sideways over the jump, but that's not going to help his chances at all. You can get quite a bit of suspension damage from landing the jump wrong here at Atlanta. It's a huge jump compared to some of the other ones. It's almost
like he overshot the jump.
He kind of went over it, I think, a bit sooner than he anticipated. He wasn't good enough as we head towards final corner for the penultimate time, and I think Tuominen has got this one in the bag.
Yeah, Perez jumped up to 4th after taking the Joker as well.
Someone to watch. Has Parisi just taken the Joker this lap? I think we'll find out in just a few seconds. As I was about to say, otherwise
Parisi and Perez both did. And everyone has taken the Joker.
You can see how much of a delta there is. 35-second laps being done by the guys taking the Joker, 43-second laps done by the guys who haven't. And everyone has taken the Joker as we come on to the final lap. And Jake Robertson has retired from the race. That's really unfortunate for him. Once again, unlucky. Same story as Bo Albert last week in the broadcast race. He had some terrible luck with some incidents, and it's happened once again. But he is our current points leader, but that's about to change as Tuominen takes the checkered flag to win the feature race at Atlanta Long for round 2 of the iRacing Rallycross World Championship qualifiers. Olakainen will take second, and Leminsavu will make it a entirely finish top 3. Perez will be the first one to break that spell in 4th. Mäkinen will finish in 5th. Parisi will finish in 6th for Jim Beaver Esports. Salas will take 7th. Cedric is going to take 8th. Then we've got Garrett Mains in 9th and Jake Robertson, who retired from that race 2 laps down after that damage that he got from hitting the inside wall of the donk side. I can hear some donuts going on in the background.
Oh yeah, there's some big old tasty donuts happening.
And we'll just have to wait for some drivers to join us for interviews. I'm sure we'll get Jake in to have a word, and hopefully we'll get some drivers from the top 3 as well. So we'll just have to wait for them. But Austin, an absolutely action-packed race meeting.
Yeah, it was action-packed. Heat 1, Heat 2, Consolation, and the final race. So many moments in there. So many... I gotta say, the best one was the Heat 2 race where we had that final lap Joker overtake just to snipe third. Like, that was just beautiful.
Yeah, it was, and we called it before we went on air, and I was telling you guys it can happen, it does happen, and it happened here. It was absolutely great to see, and it looked like we have our first driver for an interview. Looks like we've got Rassi here, and I'll see if I can get him up into the commentary box with us. Here he is then, your race winner for round number 2. Rassi, welcome to the commentary box and congratulations. Talk us through that race.
Hey, thank you guys. It was awesome race. Oh my god. Didn't believe that I'm gonna win this, but yeah, it happened. So good points, and yeah, happy to get these points and happy for the team also to Jonne finished P2, so best for the team.
Absolutely, you said esports having a good showing here today. You had a brief battle with Jake Robertson for the start of the race. Talk us through the start. That was a little bit hectic.
Yeah, Jake got a little bit better start than me, but he gave me a good space, but I don't think we touched that much. There was just 0x, so yeah, but got the lead and yeah, didn't gave that to anybody else, but it was very very close when we came from the choker, or Ilar came from the choker. So that was quite interesting because Spotter was saying that, oh yeah, there's one guy coming, okay, have to watch, and grateful to get the win and keep Ilari behind.
Absolutely. Well, you did a fantastic job in that one. Congratulations. Good points. As you said, winning a strength of field race, that's going to bode well for your World Championship hopes for a few months' time. Next week, I should know what the circuit is, but I don't. How are your thoughts going into next week? Obviously, you've still got 3 more strength of field races this week. But next week, what are your thoughts heading into that one? At
Yeah,
Hell.
yeah, Hell is it the long circuit? Yeah, long circuit.
Yes, it is the long one.
Yeah. So I think that will suit us the best. We have trained it a lot for Finnish national series also, and we know we are fast there. So I think we are going to repeat our P1 and P2 there.
Well, that's very confident talk. I wish you the best of luck for that one. Before we let you go, is there anyone you want to give a shout out to?
I'm gonna give you a big shout out to my team, obviously, for giving me this chance, and also to my awesome teammate Jonne and my teammate Kilian, who was doing brilliant in the second split also.
Yeah, well, thank you very much. Just to mention Killian, I believe he had a little bit of a taste in a real car for the World Rallycross Championship, the FIA Championship at Lohiak. I'm pretty sure they posted that all over their socials, so definitely viewers go check that out because that is really cool to see how some real teams are taking esports super seriously, including your team, Set Promotion. So thank you for joining us for the interview and good luck for next week.
Thank you guys. To next week.
All right, well, that was Rasmus Tuominen then in the 11 Set Esports VW Beetle, and he's the only one that's come to join us for an interview, Austin. It's a bit rude, eh?
Some drivers they felt like they have more to say, but sometimes saying the most words that you can is not saying any at all, because sometimes at the end of the race when you think you have it in the bag and then something happens, you just get a little bit heated. So some of them just wanting to stay a bit quiet at that. It's still early in the season. I believe near the end of the season, when things get more ironed out, we're going to have more drivers, because some of them being up there at the top of the championship aren't used to being up there. They don't want to jinx themselves.
Absolutely. It's a long season, 13 weeks instead of the usual 12. This is obviously a leap season in iRacing, and we get 4 drop weeks. So only the top 9 finishes over the course of these 13 weeks are going to count towards their eventual points total. So for drivers like Jake Robertson, who hasn't had the best race here, if he doesn't do much better in the rest of the strength of field races this week, he can use it as a drop week, and he'll have an extra 3 weeks that he can still afford to lose as well. So he's currently sitting at the top of the tables. I think Tuominen might just beat him to that one after this race. Still 4 strength of field races left, so the drivers are going to have to choose 3 more of those that they want to do. But like we saw last week, Jake Robertson absolutely nowhere in the broadcast race and ending up first in the standings. So that's going to be interesting to see heading into next week at Hell, which is a very unique circuit, isn't it, Austin?
Yes, it is. Hell is one of those tracks that you look like you just tilt your head and go, huh. And it's definitely going to be very fun and interesting to watch, and I can't wait for next week.
It's one of the one of the only European circuit on iRacing. Hopefully you can get some more of those in. It's in features in the FI World Rallycross, but that's going to be really interesting to see. It's got a longer Joker as well, so that's going to be interesting to see. It's very different strategy-wise, whereas in all of the American circuits, it's a shortcut. Over in Europe, or I say here in Europe, as I am British, the Joker is longer, so that's going to play into strategy very differently. It's going to be interesting to see there. And there's also a lot of elevation change. This is a very flat circuit, most of them are. That has a lot of hills and bumps, which is going to test the drivers in a completely different way. But Set Esports sound pretty confident.
Yeah, if you're very comfortable in rally and just in any rallycross and used to hills and bumps and just throttle management, Hell is a perfect track for you. But the strategy on the Joker lap is going to be absolutely crucial. And since the start line is right there, nobody could take the longer lap on the first lap. So that narrow turn 1 is going to be very interesting to watch on how these guys take it. And then lap 2, when that Joker lap opens up, we're going to see a dive in there. Now, if I were one of the drivers, I would take it at the end, but we're going to see on how these guys take it.
Well, I think they can take the Joker on the first lap. I expect pretty much everyone on the outside line at Hell at the start of the race to definitely take the Joker on lap 1, because it gives you such a good run. It's very difficult to take it if you're following another car, because you're flat out while they're in the braking zone for turn 1 because of the way the Joker falls. And it makes it quite difficult. Unless you take it at the start, it is a very tricky Joker to take. And it's also gravel.
We're definitely going to need to see some communication between some drivers before the race, and that might be some looking into if drivers communicate, hey, I'm going to take the Joker this lap. Are you going to take it with me, or are you going to give me a line to allow me to take it? Or is there going to be no communication? We're just going to see someone get punted off into the moon.
Absolutely. Well, I think that is it for us here on Apex Racing TV for the second week of the iRacing Rallycross World Championship Qualifiers here from Atlanta Motor Speedway. Join us next week, same day, same time, Wednesday at 8 p.m. GMT. That's 9 p.m. in the UK. And we're going to be joining you from the Norwegian countryside at Hell RX, which is one of the most unique circuits on iRacing Rallycross. So join us for that one next week. I'm sure it's going to be an absolutely cracking event. But for now, for myself, Dane Baird, Austin Knight, and Mark Tranter in the production booth, we thank you for watching and wish you a good night and happy racing.